Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Imagineers Disney Podcast. I am your host, Matt, and I am here with Susie. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You ready for this episode?
I am. I'm ready for every episode. I'm always prepared.
I think this is going to be fun. So
Yeah.
we decided that we are going to start a little series of our favorite things at Disney. So I'm going to let Susie take the lead on this one, and we're going to do Susie's favorite ride.
My favorite ride.
Any guesses? I'm guessing Circle of Life, an environmental fable.
Oh, R.I.P.
Totally kidding.
Really? That one time, though. And I love Lion King, but that show was unfortunate.
Yeah, so, no, what we're really doing is Goofy's Barnstormer.
If my brother was your co-host, he would, we just have, it's really funny you say that because now I have to tell the story. We were at Magic Kingdom one time when, it's like extra magic hour, so like 1 a.m, and we rode that ride like 4 times in a row because there's no one there, and we're like, this is the dumbest ride, let's just do it because it's like 12 seconds long.
You need a chiropractor after riding
it. We just did it again and again.
I rode it for the first time a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, I never want to ride this again. Like, the seat is not, like, there's no padding to it.
Well, it's also tight. It's for kids.
Still, but, kids need cushion, too.
Nah,
just
suck it up, kids.
So, no, but in all seriousness, we are going to do Susie's favorite ride, which is Kilimanjaro Safaris.
Yes. It's a ride, so it counts. It's not the most, like, what you would think of when you think of someone's favorite ride, maybe like Tower of Terror or something iconic like Small World. But I love Kilimanjaro Safari. I love animals. I love Animal Kingdom is increasingly becoming one of my favorite places to go. It's very much an all-day park, in my opinion. I feel like I can never skip anything, and this is definitely a must-do every time I go.
Yeah, I think the addition of Pandora obviously has turned that stigma of it being a half-day park definitely now into a full-day park. But
that's because you're spending that other half of the day in line if you don't have a fast pass.
This is true. Or gorging yourself on great food over at Satu'li Canteen.
Oh, so good.
Or Disney snacks like ice cream.
Oh, PTSD. We talk about that so much. All right. So Kilimanjaro Safari. It is, like we said, at Animal Kingdom. The name Kilimanjaro Safari might clue you into the fact it is, in fact, a safari. It's the largest ride at Disney. It's, you get in a big truck and you roam through the different areas where there's different animals on a 2-week African safari. I said in air quotes because, they're making it sound like you've been there longer than you have. It's about a 20-minute ride. And what I love about it so much is, with the exception of any animals that can actually kill you, the animals kind of have free roam. They have their general zones and areas where they tend to keep them, but especially that big grass area about the first half of the ride or so, animals just walking all around. They get so close to your Jeep, which is so cool. I just like it. It's different every time. I think that's another reason I'm drawn to it.
Yeah, you hit actually a good point about the size of the ride itself.
It's massive.
It's kind of an interesting little tidbit. The Magic Kingdom can actually fit inside the area where this attraction is. So
it's crazy.
That is how big the savannah is in this attraction. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that just kind of fits back into the making it feel like you're actually on a safari.
You're actually there.
Animals, plenty of room to go different places. I really also like this ride because it has an interesting route, its history. So way back in the day when Walt was planning Disneyland, he wanted a ride with live animals, which at the time was just logistically not feasible, which eventually evolved into the Jungle Cruise with the animatronics. And then, of course, over time, the increased number of roll your eye puns and all the different jokes that everyone's come to know and love.
Backside of water.
Backside of water. Dr. Albert Falls is my other favorite one. But
Watch out, ginger snaps.
Ginger snaps. Kilimanjaro is kind of that finally we can bring this idea to life and have a ride with live animals. Walt was very big into conservation. A lot of Disney carries on a tradition of having one of those nature films every year or so. So I love how that ride came from something else decades after the initial idea.
Yeah, and you sit back and think sometimes, what would Walt think of this? And since he was such a lover of animals, and this was kind of his original design for what he wanted for the Jungle Cruise, I think he would just sit back and smile. Just how
he'd love it.
Yeah. And I think it's so cool that Disney is actually doing something with animal conservation. I mean, a lot of the animals out there on the savannah are endangered, and they're seeing growth in the population of those animals. I mean, we've had baby Stella, the elephant, born the past it'll be 2 years in January. I think she turns 2 in January. So,
and not part of Kilimanjaro Safari, but the tiger cubs.
Yes.
I have a special connection to them because I was at Animal Kingdom for their parents' first date. So they had recently brought in the female tiger and they were keeping her in a separate area, and you could hear the male tiger as he was kind of picking up her scent, figuring out making different noises. He was pacing back and forth because they slowly have to introduce the animals to each other. And then the next time we were there, I was like, what happened? They're like, she's pregnant. She's not on exhibit right now. And then the next trip, there's the babies. So yeah, Disney's really great at animal conservation, and they care for their animals so much. And it really shows in this ride how extensive they go to give them a habitat that they're comfortable in.
Yeah, and we don't want to leave out the newest addition, little baby Augustus, the hippo.
The hippo. I remember the hippo's name because of the fat kid from
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. So let's name the fat hippo.
If you've seen pictures of this thing, I mean, it's like you just chilling out.
So cute though, but they're actually super dangerous. So speaking of conservation, the ride is very much seeped in that idea of conservation because you're on an African tour of the safari of this, what's it called? Where do they keep animals? Preserve. You're on a safari of the preserve. And when the ride originated, it was more scripted in the fact that they had poachers that you would kind of chase down and have to rescue the mother elephant who doesn't get rescued originally.
Nightmares for days on that one, kids.
Sorry, Big Red. Didn't quite make it. So that was obviously a little too much.
Yeah, they had to change that.
Real elephants. You don't want to. That's no one wants that.
A little too traumatizing for the children. So
save the elephants, kids. So that was eventually reined back quite a bit. Where they now, or not now because it's not there anymore, but initially what it was once they got rid of Big Red, may she rest in peace. It was you're in the safari and they come over the radio and they're like, Simba 1, there's poachers in your area. And then the tour's like, should we go after them? And everyone's like, yeah. So you go after the poachers and you drive past their camp and they, they're not here anymore. And then you eventually find the little baby elephant and we rescue them. They took that away in 2012 in the fall. So now it's there's really no scripted portions anymore. It's just focused on the animals. And they changed that section where you would rescue the baby elephant to be a zebra section of the ride.
Well, some of the stuff still is scripted. I mean, we still have the wonderful bridge part, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't care what they say. That gets me every time. It may be scripted, but it could fool me.
Yeah, it fools a lot of people. It's kind of funny to watch, especially people who are writing it for the first time. They're like, This isn't supposed to happen, is it?
And you do the over-exaggerated, you hold onto the side of keeping your arms, hands, and feet, of course, inside the ride, but you grab onto the seat in front of you, oh no, and you're leaning back and forth. You could play along with it if you're a loser, like I guess I am.
and, and I actually I had a friend who was actually a safari driver. That was her.
Really?
Yeah. She
Oh
did
my
she
gosh.
did a great job. She was a great cast member, and it was really fun riding in her vehicle. But she told me that the driving course was the test before
Hmm.
you actually became a driver. The bridge was like the hardest part because you have to hit the bridge at a certain speed at a certain angle, and
Huh.
a lot of people fail it. So one of the hardest jobs to attain, I guess, for attractions at Disney. So
Yeah, and unlike the Jungle Cruise, this is actually being driven by the cast member, like you mentioned, the driving course. That just goes back to the fact that this is an open area and the animals roam. And I've been on the ride. I've been in line for the ride where normally it's a giraffe or someone decides he wants to just stop in the middle of the road, and the whole ride just kind of goes on pause for a while because they're very, you have to give them space and they keep to their track, and it's going to happen. You have animals walking around, and sometimes they just decide, you know what, this is a spot to
this
stop
is where I
right
want
now.
to be.
This is this is it. This is the best spot where I can annoy everybody.
Yeah,
So
that's happened several
it
times with me
happens.
with the rhinos. So
The rhinos always, I don't know what it is. It seems like every time we're on it, they get really, really close to the vehicle. We had to stop for a zebra crossing the last time I remember, and I was like, "Oh my goodness," because we were in the back of the Jeep, and I turned around, and the rhino's like 6 feet away from us, right where my dad's sitting, and it was just so cool to see something like that, up close. And you're right, they are endangered. There's only X amount left that we know of. And Disney's doing everything they can to change that around, but one of them is sitting right there. It just gives you such a respect for those creatures.
yeah, and another really cool thing that I love about it is the ride is different every single time.
Yes.
You will never have the exact same experience on the ride. So some of them are better than others, but most of the time, it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, I feel like though you're right. Some are better than others, but I think it almost every time you're going to at least get one really good view of something, whether it's one animal or like the elephant section. One time they were playing in the water, and that was just the coolest thing. Like they're these giant things rolled over on their side and spraying water everywhere, and that was like the only good place that we were able to see an animal. Everyone else was like hiding or being really uh, dormant somewhere resting, but the elephants were out playing. So it is different every time, but hopefully you get a different view of different animals each time too.
yeah, I have off the top of my head, I think I have two instances where I just had really, really ridiculously, insanely amazing experiences on the ride. So I think one of them was the first time we saw Stella. It was like
Oh.
right after they released her into the habitat. So I mean, it was a few weeks after she was born. It was in January, and we come around the corner of the habitat, and none of the elephants are out. And everybody's like, "Oh." But then all of a sudden they start walking. They start walking out,
Mm-hmm.
and here comes Stella. Burp, 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 and she's
Oh.
she's running, and she doesn't know what to do with her trunk. So her trunk's like
Oh
going
my
all over the
gosh.
place, and
Stop. I'm so
yeah,
jealous.
it was really cool. And I think the other time, and this is actually a little helpful tip for those of you who want maybe an opportunity to ride the ride at the right time. So
Hmm.
it was a it was a dusk ride, so like right at
Yes.
sunset,
Yes.
and we pull around to the lion habitat. And
Hmm.
most of the time during the day, the lions are kind of out of
Say
sight.
it. Say it. Say they're lying around. Just make the joke.
They're lying around,
Uh,
taking naps, cat naps.
you know why? Because then at night in the wild, all the lionesses do all the work. That's when they hunt.
Yes.
So they gotta rest up during the day while the men are just perpetually lazy.
Hey now.
Hey, shots fired.
Shots fired. So anyway,
Sorry, you're at dusk. Elephants,
dusk
lions.
lions. So we pull around, and then the lions are out, and I'm telling you, the lion roared. The male lion roared. It was like the Lion King. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
So
I've
cool
never
experience.
been there when
Yeah.
they've roared before. But you make a really good point. Dusk is the best time to go see the animals. It's hot. They don't like it hot either. And a lot of animals just naturally tend to be more active later in the day anyway. I've been on it first thing in the morning and I've had a couple of good experiences, but still tend to have the best view animals most active later in the day. So try to plan your day around that and plan that fast pass accordingly because you're going to need a fast pass
Yeah, usually,
most of the time.
especially in the summer and the busy times, like the waits can get pretty hefty for that ride.
Yeah.
So have you ever done it at night?
Not all the way at night. I've done it probably, well, like the days are longer now, so it's still that like dusk, sun is setting, but not like full night safari. I want to though. I want to see what that's like.
Yeah,
We just started those a couple years ago.
yeah, it's really interesting. They they have what they've done is they've basically built like this LED wall on the back end of the savannah, and it projects the sunset. So it's the eternal sunset. So it's interesting. I think you see less animals at night.
Interesting.
You do see some different ones, but I've had mixed experiences at night. But I don't think that's a deterrent just to say that you shouldn't go do it. I think you should because once again, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. But yeah, like one time when I did the night one, we actually had a bat fly in front of the safari car. I'm like, hey, there's an animal that's not
Nice.
seen in the day.
Oh, welcome to Florida. So, speaking of animals, just a little kind of like overview of what the ride does. If you're way more into animals or zoology, big fancy words like that, than I am, I encourage you to like go and like look up a list and see like which animals you're going to see on the ride. The trucks do, however, at the top in front of each row have a little guide with a picture of each animal and its name. So if you're looking around, maybe the guide doesn't see something or you do, or vice versa, you know what they look like. But you start off in an area where there are bongos, which is again, someone's going to be like, that's not like biologically correct. It's like an antelope type thing, with the horns and it's big and the hoofs and the stuff. You see a lot of birds, come across black rhinos, hippos, which hippos, by the way, are the grossest animals ever. Not only are they are cute, but then they also are gross. Because we saw a hippo one time, like when hippos
Yes.
with the fish.
Yep.
It's gross. You'll know. You listen. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If not,
Look it up on YouTube.
find some way of figuring it out. So yeah, then you go by the hippos.
It took me a minute to figure out what you're talking about. I'm like, oh,
I don't really
never
know how
mind.
much detail I want to go into. Hippos kind of do this weird, gross thing. So you can see those hippos as you drive by, and you can also see them on the trek in Africa called Gorilla Falls. Two great places to see them do their weird, gross thing. Or ask a cast member the next time you're there; they will gladly tell you. As you move past the hippos, you move into this big area that we were talking about earlier, that the big grassy savanna grasslands where there's giraffes, antelope, wildebeests, which I'm still bitter at because they were accomplices in killing Mufasa. So, but they're there. Hyenas, which are the kind of the ugliest thing ever when you actually see them in person. But the giraffes are awesome. I love this area because obviously they're huge with the big necks and everything. You can get some great pictures as they're eating and reaching up for things. Just a really cool area. Some other animals you'll see, a flamboyance of flamingos, as they are called. Baboons, my favorite, the elephants. And then another really great spot we've already talked about, but the lions. when you get a good shot of the lions, I feel like that's what makes a good Kilimanjaro safari, because the lions are so elusive of getting a good picture.
Yep. Yep. They're like the unicorns of the safari.
I was going to say, no, the unicorns are the unicorns of the safari, but unicorns are not a real thing.
You can also see
rhinos, I guess.
You can also see the ostriches.
Ostriches. Ostrichi. You can see the big birds in Africa.
The big birds. With the big eggs. And they're fake massive eggs. Hate to break it to you, but.
Break it to you like you could break an egg. I figured that out a couple of years ago, because I was like, what are these eggs gonna hatch? And I was like, okay, they must be fake.
Fun little tidbit though about ostrich eggs. A human can actually stand on top of one and it will not break.
Really?
Yes, they're very, very strong.
Cool. These must be super strong then, because nothing can break them. Because they're not real. I mean, they're real, like they're there, but they're not actual eggs. And then another really fun animal that I like to see is the warthog. Looks nothing like Pumbaa, but that's the fun part of the safari. Is like, there's Timon and Pumbaa. But warthogs they're cute. They're so ugly, they're cute to me.
Oh, and then the crocodiles.
Yes.
So the crocodiles are cool by themselves, but little side note, you can do the Wild Africa trek, and one of the cool things you can do, so when you're going on the ride on the road and you pass the crocodile habitat, there is a rope bridge, and you're like, wonder what the purpose for that is. Well, it is actually part of the Wild Africa trek tour, and during the tour you actually get to cross it, and you can have your picture taken right over the crocodiles on the bridge. Turns out to be a really cool picture. So I think we'll eventually do an episode on the Wild Africa trek, because I think that is easily one of the best tours at Disney, but we will save that for another time.
I've always wanted to do it, and now I know a great picture spot. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Do you have a favorite animal, by the way, just kind of while we're talking about the general layout of the ride that you like to see?
Favorite animal in general, or favorite animal on the ride?
Ooh, now I'm intrigued. Both, please.
Actually, I don't know if I have a favorite animal.
Aww.
My favorite animal is the narwhal.
Okay.
It's the unicorn of the sea.
The unicorn of the sea. Oh my goodness gracious. Is that the sole reason?
Yes. Has a pretty cool horn.
They always make me think of Elf.
Hey, Mr. Narwhal.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. That has nothing to do with this ride at all. But okay, now we know.
So that is my favorite animal. But my favorite animal, yes. So my favorite animal on the actual safari, I mean, I gotta go with the lions, especially just when they're out. It's just a cool experience. I mean, because...
Don't they look so soft and friendly?
Oh, yeah. Why don't you just go give them a big warm hug, Susie?
They just look so... They're big paws, and they're just like... I know they're cats, but they're like big dog.
Big paws with big claws,
Yeah.
They're cats. So they want to kill us.
I still think they're cute, but... Yeah, lions are you're right. They're a great thing to see, and if I ever get to hear one roar while we're on the safari, I'm going to be very excited, and I still can't get over that. That's awesome.
Gonna bust out into Katy Perry.
Ugh, no. I don't like Katy Perry. We're staying on track pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta throw in a random thing every
rabbit
once
trail.
in a while. Yeah.
All right. But my favorite animal, I think I've mentioned a couple times, I love elephants. I love elephants on the tour, and then just in general, seeing them at different zoos and places. They're just they're so smart. Like elephants, they never forget. Elephants have funerals. Like, how cool is that? Elephants are just so cool.
I could do another segue into Dumbo, but I will refrain.
Okay.
That Dumbo trailer looks awesome now. I'm excited for Dumbo.
I'm just weary because sometimes Tim Burton makes me go like, what?
Like what?
Like what?
No, but like what? Like what makes you go, what?
Tim Burton in general. I think he's weird.
He's weird, but man, he puts out some great stuff. I mean,
It's true.
Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands is the weirdest movie I have ever seen. Anyway, 99% sure that is getting cut out.
Oh,
100%
I may
sure.
just leave it in.
Anyway, I don't know what we're doing anymore. So those are some great animals that we like to see. Again, great time to go is kind of later in the afternoon. Speaking of getting good shots of those animals, I would say like keep your camera on, but since no one like really has cameras anymore, we just use our phones. Keep your camera open on your phone at all times.
I take a camera.
Know what you're gonna get. Well, that's because you're cool with stuff like that. The rest of us aren't good at technology. I'm the worst millennial. I can't think. My brother has a nice camera like that he actually does bring to when we go to Animal Kingdom. I can't figure out how to work it to save my neck. I'm like, I just want to push a button and take a picture. So for the rest of us who are so basic, keep your phone open all the time. Also, listen to the cast members and whatever they say to do or don't do, but please don't stand up. You're going to ruin someone's picture. You're going to make the whole truck stop. Don't be like that person who is like leaning over everyone to get a picture. The best place to get pictures, if you're that concerned, I mean, maybe you haven't done it before and you want to make sure you're in a prime spot, sit on the outside of the row. That way you're not like, you're closer to the potential animals on either side of the vehicle.
And I would actually say, be even more specific than that, the left row, the left side of the row.
Yes.
Because you get to see more things. The
Elephants.
Elephant,
and the
lions. Yep. Cheetahs.
Absolutely. Oh my. That's not how it goes. And then don't be afraid, just my final kind of tip for the ride, don't be afraid to ask the cast member questions. I love being on rides when people ask questions and learning different things. They know a lot of information. They may not know everything, but they're passionate about their job and they love the animals too. So kind of, if you think of a question, don't be afraid to ask it. Just kind of pop your hand up. If they see you, ask it. If they don't, then just awkwardly put your hand down and feel embarrassed. No, just maybe not feel embarrassed. Google it.
There you go. And I think maybe my last tip for this ride is for those of you with kiddos out there, don't forget that you can get your Wilderness Explorer badge for doing the Kilimanjaro Safari. So remember, the wilderness must be explored. So for those of you Up fans out there.
I love Up. Every time I hear Wilderness Explorer, I always remember the scene where he's like, "We'll never get lost," and he throws this stupid GPS out the window. I don't care how many times I've seen it. I still think it's funny. It's I don't know. It just cracks me up.
Such a great movie. Such a great movie.
Yep.
The first 7 minutes are soul crushing, but
that's true.
After that, it's pretty low key.
Pretty low key, and it's not even a Marvel movie.
Oh, what have we done?
I've got all the jokes tonight. So that's Kilimanjaro Safari. My favorite ride. A unique ride in that it's never the same anytime you do it. It's also a ride with a great message to it about remembering to take care of your planet, to remember that, there are these endangered species, and remember that Disney does such a great job at conservation.
For sure. One of the highlights of Animal Kingdom, one of the highlights of Walt Disney World in general, they just, it was a home run, in my opinion, for the Imagineers and the park in general. So,
yep.
So that is Susie's favorite ride, and I think eventually we'll get to my favorite ride. But stick around for next episode. We are actually going to do our favorite value resorts.
Ooh.
Little teaser for you. So
tune in next week, kids.
So thanks for listening, everybody, and we hope you have enjoyed this episode. I know we were a little goofy today. But,
oh my gosh, you did another pun. Goofy. Because we're a Disney podcast.
I can't.
On top of it tonight.
Yep. So if you have enjoyed this episode, give us a rating, give us a like on Facebook, on Twitter, and subscribe to the podcast, and let us know what your favorite ride is. Maybe it's Kilimanjaro Safaris. Maybe you're just like Susie.
Yeah. Comment like on Facebook or something. Let's see some of your best pictures from the ride.
Ooh, that'd be fun. So we should do like a photo contest or something. Who has the best photo from Kilimanjaro Safaris?
The winner gets pride.
Haha, another animal joke.
Oh my gosh, because pride rocks.
Lion. Pride. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much again for listening to our podcast, and we will see you next time. So remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.